The most brilliant psychologist of all time left a warning for humanity. He said dangerous mistakes are ruining the lives of those who face their shadow and those who don't. Let me show you the 5 most dangerous shadow mistakes and how together the solutions access a hidden superpower. Starting with the dangerous idea that the shadow is only your evil or bad sides. That's why you should kill it or ignore it. But Carl Jung says that the shadow also holds hidden potential and creative energy. He said that the shadow is, on one side, regrettable and reprehensible weakness. On the other side, healthy instinctivity and the prerequisite for higher consciousness. That's because the shadow homes fears, envy, but also talents, opportunities. They live repressed in your shadow self because you or society judge them as unacceptable. But Jung warned us that trying to kill or ignore those traits in us robs us of a unique growth process he called individuation. No kidding, it's a real-life superpower. But more on that later, because the real danger of trying to kill or ignore your shadow lies in what Jung said next. As long as evil is seen as not real or non-being, nobody will take his own shadow seriously. Hitler and Stalin go on representing a mere accidental lack of perfection. Jung said that it is essential that you see the shadow as a part of you that needs understanding, not fighting. A part of you that needs a healthy integration into your life, not killing or ignoring. When Sheena heard all of this, she gave Carl Jung's idea a chance. Because years ago, she got fired for telling her coworker, Wendy, that her hair was a little old-fashioned. The firing left Sheena so shocked. She suppressed her unfiltered honesty for a freaking decade, until one day, she decided to let her raw transparency live through her writing. Soon after, she became a successful reviewer of underground romance novels. But fail to recognize your shadow's gifts, and you'll fall deeper into the hell that is mistake number 2. Turning shadow work into self-punishment. Carl Jung wrote, "Without guilt, unfortunately, there can be no psychic maturation and no widening of the spiritual horizon. Guilt is indeed a requisite for shadow work. The problem is indulging in it." In Jung's view, drowning in guilt pushes your repressed sides deeper into your shadow self. Once they're there, shadow parts continue to grow stronger, influencing how you behave without you knowing. To avoid falling into this trap, Carl Jung and a recently published study highlight the importance of viewing guilt as an opportunity for change. They advise that instead of living in perpetual guilt and shame, we should learn from it, make amends, and move forward. This reframing can turn negative experiences into transformative growth. And yet, even if you work really hard on this, all your work could be trash if you make mistake number 3, believing that the goal of shadow work is to become a perfect angel. But Carl Jung says that the goal is to actually become fully human. Because filling the conscious mind with ideal conceptions is a characteristic feature of Western theosophy, but not the confrontation with the shadow and the world of darkness. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The latter procedure, however, is disagreeable and therefore not popular. In Jung's view, perfection is a fucked up fantasy that denies the blend of light and dark, strengths and flaws that make you not just human, but make you who the fuck you really are. Jung explains that denying our humanity pushes away the parts of ourselves that can teach us the most, which is why true shadow work is about finding constructive ways to know and embrace your true self. But what if the search for your true self is deceiving you with a tiny area of your entire self? Enter mistake number 4, a life-ruining illusion. That's because some may think that shadow work is purely personal. They think it exists in isolation. But in truth, your shadow self is not only shaped by culture, family, society, history, it's also reflected in it. Friends, enemies, events, and a bunch of other things act as mirrors. They reveal parts of your shadow you cannot see without them. And that's because shadow work, like the shadow, is collective by nature. When you think you're making progress and you're forced to face the world and someone triggers you, then you realize, oh, I'm not where I thought I was. Yes, you do isolate. That is part of the recipe because that's where you come down to some realizations and further reflections about yourself. But that external world is very much needed. Which is why when Bruce heard this, he examined his toxic relationship with Jack. One day, after a lot of self-reflection and help from other perspectives, he realized that Jack wasn't just his enemy. He was his mirror. I mean, of course, they were total opposites because while Bruce dedicated his life to order, justice, and self-control, deep down, Bruce knew that he too had the capacity for chaos. Thankfully, Bruce chose to grow the fuck up. First, he paid attention to how his Jack side influenced his own actions. Once aware, he focused on managing those Jack impulses right in the moment. He was like, wait, do I really need to destroy the entire city just to take down one guy? Or am I allowing my Jack side to take over? To power up his progress, he brainstormed healthy ways to express his repressed Jack sides. He tried freedom, adaptability, and play. This process is what Jung called shadow integration. More on that in just a moment. First, the most fatal shadow mistake you can make: letting evil run free. When Jack heard that Bruce was doing Jungian shadow work, he decided to give it a try. But unlike Bruce and Sheena, who are learning to integrate their shadow through healthy expressions, Jack understood the task as letting his dark sides run free. His cruelty, sadism, and impulsivity took over. Jack completely identified with his dark side, and now he misses out on a real-life superpower: individuation. In Jung's view, it is the process of becoming a whole, authentic self. It requires integrating all the conscious and unconscious aspects of your psyche by uniting all the parts that make you, you. But unless you know how to navigate this destructive shadow mistakes, individuation would remain an elusive fantasy. If you're curious to know more about it, please watch these videos. In the meantime, have safe inner travels.